Experience Milwaukee is presented by Visit Milwaukee, our city's award-winning convention and visitors bureau. Show music is provided by Milwaukee's own Newski. And now, let's get into the show. Hello, Milwaukee! Hey, Adam.
Hey, Steve.
Milwaukee is fun-loving,
Up and coming.
A rising star.
And now, let's get into the episode.
Hi, I'm John McGivern. Milwaukee to me, it was the beginning. The middle was something else, and it's now the end. I love Milwaukee.
Like it's already coming back. It was so much fun.
You have no idea.
He said, John, the owner there, he said, it's my favorite question because somehow it always sparks like a massive debate.
Friend fight.
Yep, we had our first friend fight.
That was maybe the first time I fired you on the podcast. You're fired.
But not the last.
Not the last. He gets fired every week.
Yeah, we made it till the yesterday for 2023 for me to already get fired.
Yeah, and then I say you're fired, or in front of me, like I won't be surprised at some point he goes, "So John, are you hiring at all?" right in front of me. So anyway.
I've only done it to like corporations though, or maybe did I also do that?
No,
to
you've done it to yes.
I did.
Are you hiring?
I did do it to.
You just did it to someone else we just had on the show.
They're the sweetest people ever.
They were talking about
Ski team people?
Yeah,
they
were
were
awesome.
So nice.
I'm going to tell you
And
how
honestly,
good they are.
I was just gonna say, and honestly, how talented they are already.
And make it all really easy.
They
Network
do.
Health, I'm their spokesman for Medicare.
Okay.
And so we shoot these 5-6 day campaign commercials that are really specific and that are memorized, and and they're the ones who deal with everything production wise around it, and they make it really easy and really comfortable, because in the middle of it all it's not comfortable. Christ, now walk down the steps, but don't put your hand in the pocket, and make sure your hand, and it's like, really.
Do you get those kinds of notes on stage as well?
I usually do my own stuff, so no.
Okay.
No.
Okay, so it is, unless you're giving yourself a mental note, I guess.
Stop that.
John, you ruined it again.
Did I just touch myself a
Did
little?
you just put your damn hand in your pocket, John? Come on.
That was nice.
Be better.
Got it better. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be right back. I need to talk to myself about something.
Yeah, I need to give myself a few notes. Hit the lights.
All right, you guys ready?
Yep.
Adam.
Oh, yeah, are we recording?
Yeah.
Always.
Hey,
Always. Hey, Steve.
Hey,
Guess
Adam.
what?
Hey,
Guess
Adam.
what?
Stop. All right. Now
Guess
you've
what?
finally done it to me.
Yep.
Hey, we have John McGivern here. This is awesome.
Hi, John.
Hello, boys. How are you?
We don't
Having a
even
blast.
we don't
We
even
haven't
have to ask any questions.
No,
our day's already made.
Have already, yes.
Our career in
wholeheartedly.
podcasting has
But
been made.
for all of you listeners out there, I
Yeah.
guess we'll ask a couple of questions.
Okay.
Last questions. We usually start, if you've listened at all, you've mentioned you've heard some. We start like, hey, we're pretend no one knows who our guests. That's not even possible today. So
Yeah, we won't be doing that today.
You want to bet the guy just went? He was like, I have no idea who you are. He was just standing here.
I don't remember that.
Okay,
Do you?
well, we'll do that for him.
I don't remember. John's
We'll do it
lying
for that
already.
one
He's already
guy.
lying on the show. What's wrong with you? So why don't we just high level describe how do you describe your career? This amazing journey you've had in so many different facets of creativity. How do you even?
Since we're talking about Milwaukee, I'm going to talk about Milwaukee, my career in Milwaukee, because there was a career before I came back to Milwaukee. So I was born here. I was born on the east side. And in fact, it's so funny because I live now 2 miles from the house that I was raised in.
Do you ever walk by that house?
I drive by it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I do the same thing in my old house too.
It's
drive
really kind of
quickly by it,
remarkable.
yeah.
It was a duplex right near UWM because my mom worked at UWM. So it was a duplex on, and it was west of Oakland Avenue. So when you tell people that you're from the east side, people usually say, "Oh."
Yeah.
And I say, "No."
There's definitely a tone with
I live by the river. You know what I mean? So,
Right,
so to
got
be
it.
back in Milwaukee, I moved back here in 2001. So I was gone from 79 through 2001 trying to build a career. And I came back to Milwaukee after I wrote a show called Midwest Side Story, and it was a show about growing up on the east side of Milwaukee. So it was my stories that I would tell backstage on to casts of people that I worked with through my career, and I would tell these stories, and they were like, "You know what you need to do? You need to write a one-man show." And I was like, "That is." I was commissioned to write a one-man show for an all-gay theater festival in Chicago in 1993, and it was called Midwest Side Story. And 2 weeks after I had premiered the show in Chicago, I got a call from Comedy Central, and they said, "We were in your audience the second night you did that show, and we're doing an all-gay special on Comedy Central, and we want you to close it with a 7-minute story. And the 7-minute story that we want you to do is the one you told," and they told me what they wanted. So in 1994, I went to New York and sat in Caroline's and closed an all-gay special, only the second all-gay special on television,
Holy crap.
and with a 7-minute story. And from that, it was like, I think I've got a career,
Yeah.
And as I did this show down at the Organic Theater in Chicago, I had friends come from Milwaukee. I was doing a show in Chicago called Sheer Madness, which is a show that people know me for, takes place in a hair salon. I played the lead, and I've done it all over the country. And my friends from that show came and said, "I think you're done with us. I think you are now going to have," and I was like, "You are so full of crap. All of you are."
Yeah.
But it proved that from Comedy Central, I got an agent in Los Angeles. I moved to Los Angeles, which was a move that was really difficult, to be honest.
Sure.
Yeah.
I was old. And old and gay in Los Angeles in 94 was just kind of like, what? What am I doing? And because I was on Comedy Central, I got an HBO spot. And so we did a thing called We're Funny That Way, another all-gay special. It was like, oh, my God. So now I'm a gay comedian. They would send me out and to comedy clubs all over the country. So I'm in Boise, Idaho, headlining at a comedy club, and the guy who opened for me was talking about hunting, and I'm like, and these people are
I mean, here we are in Idaho.
and these people are like falling all over themselves about his hunting material, and I'm in the back going, sweating.
Yes.
Yeah,
Sweating
it out like,
oh my God,
I brought zero.
show ever.
I wrote zero hunting material.
No, in the back, I thought, what can I do? So I went up there and I was like, I love hunting. I just love it. And my favorite thing about hunting is the outfit. I love the outfits. I do love plaid. And there's nothing but and the audience was like, huh?
They were like, what?
But it worked out.
And you won them over, and
you always do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I spend so much time on the road doing the stuff and if you've ever seen a show that I do, it's not really stand-up.
It's stories, right?
It's storytelling.
Yeah.
And there's
and it's the
beginning, a middle,
authenticity
and
of
things.
them being true to you, or what you've seen, what you've experienced yourself.
And they're sitting on a stool and they're long-formed. It's not like... it's just so comedy clubs really is not what really worked for me. But I came back in 2001 because I bought the rights. I got the rights to Sheer Madness, the show that I had done all over the country.
Okay.
And I had called the Milwaukee rep and said, I have rights to this show. Would you be interested in doing it? And they said, we know the show, but it's really not our fare. Sheer Madness is not what we do. And I'm like... You people. So I went across the street to the Marcus Center.
I was just going to say, somebody else will pick it up.
And they said, we present. We don't produce. So I got the Milwaukee rep and the Marcus Center together to produce. So the three of us were the producers on the show called Sheer Madness. Vogel Hall, we opened it up, and we had a 4-week run that ended up being a 13-week run.
Wow.
And we took in $1.8 million. And the Milwaukee rep said, what would you like to do next?
We do this now.
We do this now.
We love this. And it worked out that we did a couple shows together, like this collaboration of the Milwaukee rep, the Marcus Center, and myself.
Yeah.
And that was 2001. And
you were back for 8 minutes and all that happened?
I'm telling you, it was so great. And I thought, am I going to stay back? Because I was still in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But the work kept coming. And TMJ4 hired me to do a guy on the street sort of thing. That every Friday I was out in the morning news doing what's best about living in this city, much like what you guys do.
Whoa.
Yeah.
But it was me.
Yeah, this isn't new. We didn't invent anything.
I know, I feel really unoriginal.
But the fact that this was, what the subject of what I had to do was the same thing that, it's like, it's a really incredibly beautiful subject that to say what's best about living here.
Yeah.
So, and from that, it's so wild. So from that TV spot, I got more TV work and the stage work kept coming. And then I got a job doing some writing for the Journal Sentinel. I got some job, Milwaukee Magazine I did some writing for. So I was writing, I was doing my own stage work, and I was doing a television show.
Living the dream.
My friends, in Los Angeles, my friends in Chicago were like, you had to move home to make it work.
What are you doing there?
So really, it's I can't tell you how much I appreciate and the generosity of spirit around this community. Yeah. At least from what I've experienced, is I can't even tell you how grateful I am.
Yeah, I feel it. I've started a number of companies, probably 4 or 5 different companies at least, and they've all failed except the 2 that have been uber focused on Milwaukee. And so I'm like, all right, I get it. I hear you. I know. All right, I'm listening now.
It's your space.
Right. So, and there's enough. Adam's got his small walkie shirt on, which really just means we're all super connected here. But the city is big enough to support a number of us all doing things that show our love back to Milwaukee. There's plenty for all of us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Absolutely.
All right, so
can we get back to John?
That was in a nutshell, right?
Yeah. Really
can we get back to enough about you?
Wow, Steve, just casually thrown in that you've started a few businesses here in Milwaukee.
Well, I mean, like all of them have failed except two.
I was waiting for you, and by the way, John, here's my card.
No, give it to me.
Yeah, it's got 37 different titles on it.
I'm willing to be on your podcast or TV show anytime. Yeah,
I do. I have. So we've kind of gotten into a little bit of the meat and potatoes, but I wanted to talk about where it all originally came from. Where did being an actor, writer, producer, where did this come from? How did this come about for you?
I was just an actor who waited for somebody to say that you're right for the words that are in the script that that I'll be directing.
Yeah.
And that life of an actor, which I have so many friends who are still in that life, who'd wait for somebody to say that, you're what I need for this script. And until I wrote my own, until somebody kind of forced me to do that, little did I know that there was a life bigger and greater and a voice that could be louder and something that did not depend on somebody saying that I'm going to let you do something. So then I had to go out and find. And what you don't know about me, and people who will be listening that know me well will be like, oh, if they only knew. I'm incredibly organized. I'm incredibly type A.
Yeah.
If you walked into my home, you'd be like, you knew we were coming. No, this is how our home is every moment.
This is how it is.
I mean, it's just like, so the fact that I then had a product that I could go out and find somebody to just say, yeah, you can rent this space, or I will put you as part of a season that you have, then it was all in my hands.
Yeah.
Like my career was mine and not somebody saying, maybe I'll hire you to, and it's a whole different life when that's the case.
Yeah.
And that the voice was mine and it wasn't somebody else's words.
Right.
It's kind of, I look back on that and it's remarkable.
That's like entrepreneurship in a nutshell.
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
Just you want it to be
in the
your
creative
own
scene
from you kind of thing.
All right, so random kind of rapid fire. The creative process is not easy. And I was even having a conversation today with someone that about my daughter. Like, she's going to be incredibly successful as an artist. But the stuff you have to do until you get there, dealing with an artist, it can be so challenging. That how have you gotten through those kinds of moments of even doubt about how things might turn out yourself? Are you going to write the next line? Are you going to come up with the next best story? Like, how have you sort of gone through that kind of process?
My process is, and if my partner Steve of 20 years will tell you that it never, it's always exactly the same, and that process is full of doubt. My getting on stage when I do is like I crawl to stage.
Really?
I stand backstage and I say, God, grant me the strength to get out there and do what I can do.
Yeah.
And I have to say that 3 times. I'm telling you, I do stuff I make it really difficult. And after 20 years, my partner Steve is like, oh my God.
Yeah. Again.
Here we go again.
I go out there and a minute out there, and I'm like, this is the most fun.
I love you all.
I love what I do. But to crawl up there, I just finished a run. We're sitting here in the beginning of January, and I just finished a Christmas run of a show that was written by a man named Pat Hazel, who was one of the writers for Seinfeld. And he wrote a show I do called Wonder Bread Years, and he wrote a show called
I saw that one.
Kodachrome Christmas, which is what I just did. So it's a completely scripted, 52 pages of memorized, a lot of bits, a lot of, I played a talk show hostess, so I was in drag for the whole thing, and all, to crawl up to that every night and to it's like, is the wig pretty? Is my lipstick?
Yeah.
I wished I was a little less caring about stuff.
Yeah.
I wish I was a little less, it'll all work out, but I'm not. Everything has to be right or it's not going to work for me.
Right.
So, but that self-doubt, I don't know what form it takes for your daughter. For me, it's like, they are going to hate me. This audience, this is going to be it. This is the day. This is the day when it's all going to be like, who cares?
We knew it.
We knew it.
Oh, yeah. I was just gonna say
I think that
damn
hits me
imposter
sometimes too.
syndrome.
Yeah.
Oh, completely.
Damn imposter system rearing its head.
Completely.
Yeah.
It's bad. And the TV show is so much different. To shoot a TV show, so we did 9 seasons of a show called Around the Corner for PBS, for Milwaukee PBS. And now we're doing a show called John McGivern's Main Streets, which goes back to PBS. In fact, January 19th, it starts airing on PBS, our new show, which is
awesome.
Oh, that's great.
Great.
Yeah.
Very cool.
But to shoot that, we spend from May through October. There's 6 of us that go out on the road. There is nothing about that has any sort of feeling around stage. So it's like I don't crawl up to that. I get a list of people I'm going to talk to, and it's like this.
Yeah.
It's like,
just having fun, having a conversation.
I'm like, so where'd you get that? And they're like, and can I tell you, they want to talk about it.
They do.
The fact that I came to sit with you guys and we're going to talk about me, I love that.
Yeah.
And that's what
easiest thing ever.
That's what the TV show's about.
Yep.
That's a good point. And
absolutely.
that's kind of being the podcast, what it is, and what we've come to know it as, learning the background of people, their passions. Who doesn't want to? Who's like, I'm really into Batman, but I don't really feel like talking about it right now.
I'm so passionate about it, but please stop asking me.
I'm just waiting for somebody to mention anything that has to do with Bat or Man, and I'm going to get right into it. Like, let me tell you about Heath Ledger's Joker. Right? I got some theories, but it is. People want to talk about it, and you give them the venue. You give them two dudes who are just casually talking to them,
and
it's
super interested,
fun.
right? And love it. And all right, so I'm sure this question has been asked, but I want to know straight from you in this room. We're at the Transfer Pizzeria Cafe studio. Will family react to the stories you tell that include them?
They're all good.
They're all good?
Yes.
Most of them are good.
Okay.
I have a sister who is the youngest of 6. There's 6 of us. I'm the third of 6. She's 10 years younger than me. And she asked me, after a story I told I'm on KLH for a long time. After our story I told about one of her kids on KLH, she said, please don't ever talk about me or my kids on stage or on the radio.
Yeah.
Please don't. Just don't talk about it. And I was like, I appreciate that.
Yeah, respect.
And I have another sister who's 4 years younger than me. So the youngest is Maureen. She's going to be like, did you mention my name?
You just did it. I just did.
Well, these guys they're trick interviewers. I don't know what the hell happened on that show.
Media at its finest.
So her name is Maureen, and I have a sister, Colleen. And Colleen's like, you can say anything about
Here's
me.
some stuff,
and if I'm in the audience, please point me out.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm more of a Colleen, I think.
Well, I saw...
I'd be like, yeah, tell stories.
Yeah,
I don't care.
I don't know. I'm in the middle somewhere. I watched the Harbor District Main Street episode, and your niece was in it, right?
She was, Callahan.
The wedding dress.
Yeah, that's right. Callahan was.
So I thought it's what hit me. Like, oh, I know. From what I've seen, he's and heard of him. He tells these stories, and some of the greatest bits of the little. I don't mean bit like a bit you're doing, but the small bits of content you have on your site are about you interacting with your family, and catching your brother smoking, right? and then him
Frankie
trying to get you
Biancuso.
back for something that happened along. It's like
So just farting during Mother Perpetual Health devotions.
Church, right?
Oh my God.
So I don't know. It's,
my mom was, my mother passed in April of 2020. So it was in the middle. I know.
Yeah.
She was 93. She was great the day before, and then she passed the next day, which was like, oh my Lord, what a way to go.
Yeah.
Truly. But she would always, she was always like, oh, you make me sound. This is what she would say. You make me sound so Dutchy. Now, Dutchy, I don't even know what Dutchy means.
Did you ever get any context, any more clarification?
She
on
would go,
that?
and then I was like, well, she would see somebody like at a restaurant in a house coat, and my mother would say, she's Dutchy. So I don't know
what is that mean?
I don't know. But
did you ever get one though, where like she got you with a zinger or something? You're like, you're so Dutchy.
right. She was hilarious. My mother was hilarious.
Yeah.
And she would act like she didn't know that she was hilarious. We interviewed her. If you watch Around the Corner, if you did John McGivern's East Side, or the North Avenue, East North Avenue episode.
Yeah.
And she lived at the Milwaukee Catholic Home, which is on Prospect. And I said, we are doing the Catholic Home and we're going to talk to you. And she was like, no, I am not. No, I do not want to do this. I will not do this. I refuse to be on this TV show. Do not. I said, we're coming. And then she's like,
we're already
no.
around the corner, right? We're going to be.
So we showed up and we knock on her door. On the 5th floor, the door opens. Her hair is perfect.
Oh, she was ready.
She was like, well, hello.
I didn't know.
What are you? She had like a slight English accent.
Yeah.
Like what is going on?
That would have been the exact moment to
today.
lean in her and go, Mom, you're acting a little Dutchy.
This is totally Dutchy.
Totally Dutchy.
This is where you get it from, Mom. Yeah.
She was hilarious, and she was such a muse for me. Like,
Really?
So
Yeah.
many stories
Yeah.
around my mom, and that still work.
Yeah.
I still tell these mom stories that and it's so funny how many people are like, okay, my mom is exactly like your mom. Like my mom was and is. The names are different, and that's what I found through this work, that the thread of humanity is really. I always thought my stories were so specific, and people would be like, huh?
Yeah.
When they're like, no, the streets,
relate.
the streets are different, the names are different, but what happened and what heart-wise, it's all the same.
Yeah. I listen to your stories and I go, damn, I wish I could tell stories like that because
that's
because
a
you
true
think
gift.
like
True gift.
stuff like this has happened to me, but he's just such a good. The way you said it's like the perfect comedic, whatever you would call it,
Timing.
story arc, right? Like and timing, all of it, yeah. And even though I kind of knew at some point when I was listening to the story about your brother and you catching him, like I knew what was going to come back. I laughed my ass off as soon as you said it. I'm like, oh, it did happen. Yes.
It came home.
And maybe it's like because your laughter is contagious too. So when you're into it and you're laughing along with the story, and it's awesome. It's awesome.
Thanks.
Cool. So let's talk about Milwaukee a little bit.
Yeah.
Good.
What about the city today, or even thinking about into the future where it's going? Like, kind of puts a smile on your face.
Well, I love that what it was is not what it is. Like, I knew this city growing up. I knew to get on the 15 Oakland, Delaware and take it down Oakland Avenue, and it would turn on Brady Street. And so all that was so familiar to me as a kid is still familiar, but it's all so different than it was.
Right.
Downtown, I live downtown. I live at the Knickerbocker, which is an old hotel built in 1928.
Yeah. Beautiful hotel.
And
that's the big U one, right?
It is.
Shape? Yeah.
Yeah. And live. The fact that I live in downtown Milwaukee in a neighborhood that is residential, but it's downtown, is so beyond cool.
That's
and people who come to visit this city, and this is what I tell people who have lived here their whole lives, and people who are like, "Oh, Milwaukee, traffic is bad, rush hour." I'm like, you know what you need to do? You
Go
need
to Chicago.
You need to move away.
Yeah. Yes.
And then
Go to Chicago for like
anywhere,
a day,
anywhere,
and you'll be like, oh,
and try to park.
Oh, yeah, or try to park anywhere that isn't.
Where's my
$30.
18-minute commute?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Back in Milwaukee.
Yep. Just need some perspective.
This is an easy city, but it's a major city. I love the fact that downtown on one street, 2 blocks, there are like 9 performance venues.
Yes.
You look at the Marcus Center. You look at the Milwaukee Center
In the theater district,
Pabst
right?
and
Yeah.
You look at
Pabst.
all of that,
Yeah.
and it's where. What else has that?
You can park in one spot and do everything you want.
Do
it all.
theater-wise. Yeah.
Yeah.
And get a great
Absolutely.
meal or two and whatever else. Just
I love
hanging
this
out.
city.
Yeah.
I love it. They have a food scene. I think the food scene is remarkable. I think
I
Bartolotta has
completely
brought
agree.
something that, and then you go past Bartolotta and you see the young chefs who are coming up. You see,
Adam
it's
Pollock, and he's the one that came to mind immediately. Another Adam, love that. But you're dead on. I mean, there's so much good food in Milwaukee, and that is actually weirdly the number one thing I hear from out of towners. Is like
That they're surprised about?
Didn't know the food was so
Yeah.
awesome here. Like went to the public market or
When did they
Third
put this
Street
lake
Market
here?
Hall.
Yeah.
Who put that lake? Who put that lake there?
Yeah, what? That's interesting.
you guys are lucky that they did that.
Yeah, you guys really lucked out on that one. When did this all happen? A
Yeah.
couple years ago?
I love it. I think it's manageable. I think it's a great city.
And
Yeah.
manageable
Really do.
too, yeah.
Yeah.
You can actually park in
can.
downtown Milwaukee if you want.
Yeah.
Is there something about cities that lures you in? Like now you're telling stories about the main streets and and as you say, every city has one, whether it's called Main Street or
Right.
not.
Every neighborhood has.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
What about that intrigues you? Why did you gravitate to that calling?
There's a woman, Lois Maurer, who is the producer. She was the producer of Around the Corner. She's the producer of Main Streets. She was the producer of the early Stories of John McGivern, which was a PBS special that ran in 12 markets. That were my stories, my stage stories that we shot on location,
Yeah.
which was
Nice.
very cool. But she's the one. We were sitting over a cup of coffee, trying to come up with a project that we thought PBS would pick up. And when we started talking about neighborhoods, how it came to be, and she's so funny because she said, "How about we do something where you get into businesses that people can't get into? Like, how about something we call it?" In the Back Door with John McGivern. I'm like, I don't think we can do that, man. She's like, what? That's not good?
That would have been the cleverest neighbor show ever. And I mean, you could have had a tagline and everything. We're like, let's go.
I don't know where to go with it. I don't know.
Oh my God. But we came up with this concept around neighborhoods and cities and communities and villages. And can I tell you, Milwaukee PBS said, we will give you 3. You can do 3. And Lois, who was an on-staff producer at Milwaukee
3 as in
PBS,
3 episodes?
3 episodes.
Yeah.
And we'll see if it takes fire. And
Yeah.
she said, we're not going to do it. Either we get a season or we don't do it. So they gave us 13 season 1. And what happened with that was that, and it's so funny because you look back, and this was back in 2012 or 2011 that we started, and now everybody's doing it. I mean,
Yeah.
you look, every
Agreed.
local
Right.
TV show
Right.
has, it has its own little neighborhood,
Yep.
series that they're
Absolutely.
doing, which we're like, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did we not patent this?
You're
or
the,
something?
you're the news.
Slap a copyright on it. But I mean, but it makes sense though, doesn't it? I mean, I think growing up when DVDs became popular and they started putting the behind the scenes in there, there were times where I'd get that. I'm like, I already saw it in the theater. I just want to see the behind the scenes stuff. So I just watched like 6 hours
I think
of
people
them
are addicted to behind the scenes.
watching the sausage get
From
made.
all
They're
different
they're
perspectives.
they're seeing all that stuff. Plus,
That's it.
there's on top of that, with movies, there's obviously amazing storytellers in that. So you're getting the storytellers to tell stories behind the scenes. It's a win-win. So
It's been great
totally
too.
makes sense.
And so we did 117 of those. We did 117 around the corners.
Oh my gosh.
During the pandemic, we were told that we weren't
It's over.
going to continue.
Yeah.
And it was sitting in my kitchen with Lois saying, and I was getting calls from stations in Milwaukee saying, "Are you interested in doing morning television?" So 5 days a week, live show. Are you interested? And I'm like,
How come? Why not?
no, 5 mornings live, 5 mornings a week, live at 9 o'clock in the morning. Nothing about that appeals to me.
What would you have
Because
covered,
I've done
though?
it. I've done. I was a fill-in for Real Milwaukee on Channel 6. I did a lot of morning blends. Like I did that. Like live television is so. It's just. It's really.
It's
I don't
not
think
it,
I'm
huh?
good at it. Really. So
I panic.
I don't know.
I do.
Waking
Yeah,
up
I panic,
with
100%.
this like energy in the morning, that would be awesome.
Don't make me. Please don't make me do it.
Make me.
So
Well, don't
Lois
do it
said,
if you don't
is this
want
what
to.
you want to do? And I'm like, I don't think. She says, I don't think you do. I don't think. Are we done doing what we've been doing for the last 9 years?
Yeah.
Are we done? And I said, I don't want to be done, but what's our option? She says that we find another show. We find somebody to do it. And so a friend of hers said, I have a friend who has a production company, which is Plum Media in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
But Rich Schmig is his name. 25 years he's been in town. She texted him and said, "My name is Lois Maurer. I am sitting with John McGivern in his kitchen, and we would love to talk to you about an idea." And he called in a minute, and we talked. We were on the phone for an hour.
Holy
and
shit.
6 months later,
Wow.
we were shooting.
Wow.
Kind of remarkable.
That is
So,
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Fast. Just one
Yeah.
text message.
Yeah. Adam,
I know.
it took you 6 months to get on the podcast.
Not for lack of trying.
He used to call me like, "Hey, I got an idea for an intro for you. Oh, hey, you should do this."
Yeah.
And he still does it. Like he was
I
talking
still-
about these things before.
I still do
I'm like,
it.
"You just want to come on the show?"
Yeah, I did. I just was a backseat driver.
Yeah.
Until Steve was like, "Do you want to just come on for one episode?" And I'm
Sounds
like,
like you want to be on the podcast.
it was,
And he's like, "I'm right outside. I'm right outside. I'll be right
Look
in."
at you.
Yeah.
I'm right outside. That's perfect. I'm driving by right now.
So, what's next with any of the projects you're thinking about, and morning
me.
show?
I'm going to retire.
Come on, no, you can't. No.
We're going to continue doing.
We're gonna
John-
get him on a morning show. Yeah.
No, we're not going to do that. We're going to continue John McGivern's Main Streets, season 3. The fact that PBS, so we were on commercial television last year. We were in 32 markets in 6 states because now we're in 6 states now.
Yeah.
So, so Wisconsin, PBS Wisconsin is now our distributor. So we start playing the 19th of January. And listen to this story, you guys. We start playing all over the state of Wisconsin. Chicago Public Television, Twin Cities Public Television.
Yeah.
Every PBS station in Iowa picked us up. Detroit Public Television, and the only market that really hasn't picked us up is Milwaukee PBS. Just so you know. So starting January 19th, we'll be playing everywhere but Milwaukee.
About Milwaukee? Well, I guess Main Street.
Are you trying to make us mad, John? Yeah.
So, and what's happening is that there's a new GM is being hired over there, and they said that they couldn't really put
I think I
anything
saw
on
that,
the air
yeah.
until a new
new
GM
GM
decides.
sees it.
So we're hoping that
probably
Milwaukee
just
will
gonna
pick
happen
us
last
up.
minute.
Well, yeah, we'll see.
Adam knows how these things go.
Yeah, I've seen it 100 times, John.
Let me tell you. But people can still watch it.
Yeah.
They can still watch
hell
it on
yeah.
YouTube. They can watch
Absolutely.
it on the PBS app, on Roku, on Apple TV. They can watch it. But still, it's like we are
From your site, right? You have it
surrounded-
from your site, too?
Yes.
Yeah.
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 So mainstreets.tv is our site for the show. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to continue. I think I decided, in fact, I was talking to Pat Hazel, who wrote those shows, and I said to him, I think I'm done doing other people's words. You know, I am at an age where I can just, next Friday I'll be on stage just doing my stories. And it's I have a production manager who goes up and fills the stage, hangs these pictures of my family, and we spot them all. And when I start talking about we spotlight whoever I'm talking about,
Yeah.
It's kind of casual. There's not much, even though I do kind of freak out the moment before I'm on stage.
Yeah.
But
Crawling out there.
so I think that's what I'll continue doing. I'll continue the TV show. My partner and I have a business called Home in Milwaukee, which we own. We own a dozen condos in the building we live in, and we rent them to corporations.
Oh.
So we have corporate rentals, which we've had now for 15 years.
Okay.
And as I said to Steve, we got to start selling some, because we're like this. It's kind of
That's a lot of condos. Full-time-ish. It sounds way more than full-time.
It does sound full-time.
I take care of most of the business, and we take care of in between we clean them. We do all of that. So it's like, and I'm old. I'm doing Medicare commercials for the sake of God. Come on. I'm the Medicare spokesman for Network Health, and I'm like, oh God.
Let's put a morning show concept together with the three of us.
You are so full of shit.
Big time. Big time. But don't call him on it, because he will make
I'll
it
do it,
happen.
John.
I will say no.
That's what you think.
He's gonna.
Anyway.
Steve's gonna coin in the back door.
Oh, God.
She had no clue. I'm like,
In
why,
the back
why do
door
you think
with
that's
John
appropriate?
McGivern.
In the back door with John McGivern.
Just think about it for a second.
Were you
You think maybe that's probably not the right way to go with this?
Were you like, that's Dutchy? I like it. I like it. I like it.
My mom would have been like, that's terrible, man.
What time do you need me on the show?
Yeah, that's terrible. I'm in. Let's do it.
Yeah, man, I'm totally in.
Oh my God.
All right.
I love
Well, hey, thank you. Thank you so much for taking the
it is,
time
John.
and hanging out.
This is easy breezy, isn't it?
Cool. Yeah,
It's fun.
fun.
You have a
good job,
So
you
much-
guys.
Yeah, we
So
love
much
it.
You
fun.
do a
Love
good
it.
job, too.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you.
And I got gifts from you.
Yeah,
got
some
cookies
Yeah.
from-
I don't know, a card or
Future
something?
guests
A
expect
candle, I
nothing.
guess, if you
This
call
is
those
for John.
gifts.
Yeah. Future guests expect
It's
nothing.
also like stuff we just had in our cabinets.
Yeah.
I know his
Make it
in-laws.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah, John knows the in-laws.
All right,
That's why there's some Keebler
I know
stuff
I know,
behind us.
I know. All right. Thanks, John.
Been a pleasure, you
Yeah,
guys. Thanks
yes,
so
love
much.
it. Love the
Thanks.
work.
Congratulations
Love you as a
on
person.
your work.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Adam,
We have a new closer.
we do. You can see.
want-
Look at the look on his face.
You wanna
Is
tee me
he-
up? You wanna tee
Has
me
he
up?
never been not wanting to do something right now?
I was waiting for you to tee me up.
All right, Adam. You know how we end it.
And now, Milwaukee's very own Newski.
Go out at night, see my former friends, watch them all pretend that they don't know me. So I take a seat next to you instead. Wish I never did.